Hi there, I'm Barnaby Howarth. Thanks for listening and welcome to Everyday Greatness. Let me tell you exactly what I know that you don't. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've played AFL for the Sydney Swans. I'm an auto queue operator at ABC News, and I'm a person with disability running a small business. I've also been dealt some pretty shitty hands in life, but I'm not here to preach or tell you how to live your life. I've seen firsthand that if you just roll your sleeves up, work hard and be good to people, sometimes things just work out. This is a podcast for anybody who thinks that just doing what needs to be done without a fuss is a waste of time. My incredible guests and I are going to show you that just working hard and being good to people is all you need to do. Let's get started with today's guest.
You're sounding like the Governor-General, because, which I love, because that's what I've been talking about since I took office on the 1st of July, that Australia has these three incredible advantages that if you see them working in conjunction with one another and supporting one another, suddenly you see a story of a country that has something that almost nowhere in the world has. You've talked about 65,000 years of culture and connection to this continent and its languages and its history, offered to us generously by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people for as long as it's been possible. Those British institutions that you described, I would add to things like compulsory voting, an independent electoral commission. Australians, when they cast their vote, can change governments peacefully and successfully. We don't have fights. We don't storm our institutions. We've got a wonderful independent court system, a judicial system, all those things. And then you cap that off with the greatest story of multiculturalism the world has seen, where over the last half century we've seen 7 million migrants become Australian citizens and almost 1 million refugees come to this country ultimately to become citizens. If we treated those three things as interconnecting strengths and talked about it and reflected on it and didn't see them in tension with one another, but totally supporting each other, then you work off that and think about what does the future hold. Because that level of cultural diversity, strong institutions, First Nations history and connection to country and to land, what better start could you have for a discussion about a modern, successful, stable country than that? So I tell that story over and over because I want people to actually focus on the bit of the story that they represent, but also think back through the history of this country and then start thinking productively about what does that mean for a modern Australia for the next half century? What will it look like? Who are our future leaders going to be? What are the things that you would change, but what things we hold fast to? And I think respect for institutions, for civics, for the way in which we discuss things. I talk a lot about care, as you said at your introduction, care for civics and institutions and care for the way we conduct ourselves in difficult conversations about the things that often split us. Doing that without rancour, without fighting or violence, to me is one of the things we've got to focus on. And I focus on that a lot as the Governor-General, because I think Australia did have a natural advantage. I think we used to argue well. We could disagree well. You could you could do it around footy grounds, whether it was about the team you supported or something more fundamental, but you'd walk away still respecting the other person and say, that's your view and I respect it. If we don't hold on to that or build that muscle of disagreeing well, that's when we slide into things we're seeing in other parts of the world where you fall into tribes who are fighting with one another and can no longer hear one another. And that would be a great loss for our country. So they're the things I talk about a lot as Governor-General. Let's lift our sights. Let's do that work cooperatively. And even when we disagree, do that well and care about the system that we have with all of those advantages. That makes us a truly mighty nation.